Hello everyone. In last video, we have seen unboxing and hardware review of AMD's Kria KR260 Robotics starter kit. In this video, we will see how to get started with this development board. We will see headless setup and installation of NoMachine Remote Desktop. So, let's get started. So, in hardware setup, you can use full desktop setup like shown in this diagram. First, you will create operating system flash drive, which will be a micro SD card with Ubuntu 22.04 LTS version. Then, you will connect accessories like monitor display, keyboard, mouse, Ethernet cable and 9-volt power. This is a default setup. Then, another type of setup is headless setup. In this setup, first we will create operating system flash drive, which will be a micro SD card with Ubuntu 22.04. Then, here we will not connect monitor, keyboard and mouse. Instead, we will connect a micro USB cable from serial UART port of Kria board to our laptop USB port. Then, connect the camera, Ethernet cable to router, and power supply. After making these connections, we will use PuTTY's serial interface to log in to the Kria board. As we connect board to our router, it will get connected to internet via Ethernet, so we can update it and install required packages via command line. For example, to access the Kria's desktop remotely on laptop, we will use NoMachine Remote Desktop Software. We will install NoMachine server on Kria board and its client software on our laptop. And once we configured the NoMachine Remote Desktop setup, we can now remove this micro USB cable. It's required only for first-time setup. Once we log in via serial, set the new password, and once the board get connected to router, we will get IP address of our KR260 board, and then we can access it via SSH. Please note, for security purpose, SSH is disabled at first. It will get enabled once you log in via serial. This board, KR260, does not have built-in Wi-Fi chip. It is equipped with 4 RJ45 gigabit Ethernet ports. So if you want to make it completely headless and Wi-Fi enabled, you can use these type of USB Wi-Fi adapters. Alright, so in a nutshell, there are two types of hardware setup for this board. You can choose as per your convenience and availability of components. Now let's see the demo and practically set up the KR260 board. Please note, in this demo we will only cover headless setup, since we are going to use it for our future projects. But if you want to connect full desktop setup with monitor, keyboard and mouse, just skip the process of headless setup and NoMachine installation. You only need to download the OS, flash it and update the system, that's it. Okay, now let's go ahead and download the operating system image. So, on this URL, you will get Kria KR260 Robotics Starter Kit's user guide. This is very comprehensive document, which consists of detailed information about this kit, like what comes in the box. Different interfaces available on Kria kit with graphical diagram of each section. Then, information about powering the starter kit, fan, heat sink details. Then there is also information about primary and secondary boot devices, like SD card, SSDs, etc. Then, very important, here you will get link to software getting started guide. As they said here, to get started with the KR260 starter kit, prior to powering, booting the board, and running your first application, you need to follow the instructions on this link. Here you will get pages to download and write the Xilinx SOM starter Linux image to a micro SD card. Let's go to this link. It will get opened in new tab. Here you will get how to boot Linux instructions. So there are two versions of Ubuntu Linux officially recommended for KR260. Ubuntu 22.04 and 24.04. We will use 22.04 since it supports more applications than latest version. Okay, now let's go to boot instructions. This is main guide. Let's go to its first step, which is set up the SD card image. Here you will get the link to image. Let's go. This is the link where you can directly go. Here you will get Ubuntu Server LTS images for Kria SOM's 26 and 24 versions. As we said earlier, we will use Ubuntu Desktop 22.04 long-term support version. It will get supported until April 2032, and it works on both KR260 and KV260. You can click on this green button to download the image file. Image file will get downloaded. It is a big file, approximately 2 GBs, so it will take time as per your internet speed. While the OS is downloading, I'll show you where to find the resources for this tutorial. Please go to this link where you will find GitHub repository for this video tutorial of getting started with KR260 Kit. Here you will get documentation and links to all the guides we discussed in this video tutorial. You will also get links to software downloads, like here, the SD card formatter and Raspberry Pi imager, which we will be using in a minute to flash the Ubuntu OS on SD card. Let's see. So, earlier during our testing, we tried to use Balena EatShare software, but it was showing error like this while flashing. So we decided to switch to Raspberry Pi imager. You can download it from official Raspberry Pi website. We have already downloaded and installed it. Let me show you. Okay, you can see our Ubuntu operating system has been downloaded successfully. This is the image file, which is of size around 1.94 GBs. Let's flash this onto SD card. Open Raspberry Pi Imager application and follow along with us. Insert your microSD card into adapter and then plug in your card reader or adapter into your PC or laptop. Then, use custom option and browse the operating system image and carefully select correct drive for flashing. If you select wrong drive, your earlier data on that drive will get overwritten, so be careful. The writing and verification process takes a bit of time, so go ahead and grab a coffee while you wait. Okay, write completed successfully. Now you can safely remove microSD card from laptop and insert into your Kria Robotics kit. Now if you're having full desktop setup with monitor display, keyboard, mouse. Then go ahead and boot the system by connecting 12 volts 3 ampere power supply adapter to power the kit. Then follow the instructions on screen to login. Here, default username and password is Ubuntu. After login, you can update and upgrade the system. Okay, now for those who is not having display and if you want run the system headless. Then follow along. People's having full desktop setup can skip next session. It's only for headless setup. First, come here on GitHub repository. Here on repo, you will get step-by-step guide to install NoMachine Remote Desktop Software. Now, we have connected our KR260 kit via UART. Connected USB cable from laptop to micro USB port, J4. On your laptop or PC, this UART connection will get enumerated as serial COM port. Please note the port number. Open PuTTY serial monitoring software on laptop by selecting correct COM port and 115200 baud rate. Let me increase the font size for terminal window so that you can see properly. Now, we know starter kit requires a 12 volts, 3 ampere power supply adapter to power the kit. The adapter is included in the kit. The power supply adapter barrel connector plugs into the DC jack, J12, to supply the plus 12 volts power source to KR260 starter kit. As soon as you connect power, kit start booting and you will see Linux kernel startup log on PuTTY. These logs show boot messages and different services starting up. Once it completes, we will get login prompt like this. As we said earlier, default login username and password is Ubuntu. Let's log in. Now follow the instructions given in guide 1 by 1 to verify the system architecture. So the OS architecture is Arch64 and ARM architecture is ARM64. Then next step is very important. Update and upgrade the system. These sequence of commands add specialized software repositories for Xilinx hardware and robotics. Then update your system and install the latest available patches. Please note, whether you're using a full desktop or headless setup for your KR260, you'll be prompted to change the default password on the first boot. Please update it to a password of your choice. Sometimes during upgrade process you will see this message about configuring flash kernel. Here just select the option saying, install the package maintainers version. Next is Step 3. Configure Headless Boot. Here we are going to set the system to boot without GUI. Means we will disable the display manager. Then reboot the system for changes to take effect. After reboot, log in again with new password, and then using system control commands, verify that multi-user target is changed, like this. Then, in next step we will install XFCE lightweight desktop environment. Copy and run this command in terminal to install XFCE desktop environment. In step 5, we will download the NoMachine Remote Desktop Server on KR260 kit. For that, you have to visit NoMachine official website. This is the official NoMachine website download page. So earlier, we have already confirmed system architecture as ARM64 and Debian architecture as Arch64. And copy the link of latest Debian package for ARM64. Copy the correct link, this one. Insert that URL into wget command and download the package. You can also verify the status of downloaded file using these commands. In step 6, install the NoMachine package via command line. Just follow along. Once the NoMachine server, means the NX server get installed, you can verify its status using system control command. If all goes correctly, you will see its status as running. Then, next step is configuring NoMachine to use XFCE desktop. For that, we have to tweak with some config files. We will use Nano Editor. Just follow along and see how we do it. Then you can replicate on your system. Add or replace these lines in config file. Save the config file correctly. For changes to take effect, we have to restart the NX server. Then in step 8, verify the headless mode of operation. That's it, we have now successfully installed NoMachine server on our Kria Robotics kit. Now, to access this kit's desktop remotely from our laptop or PC, we have to install NoMachine client software on our laptop or PC. You can download that software from NoMachine official website. Download and install it as per your host operating system, Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. Please note, now, as we have completed setup and connected to internet successfully, you can check your IP address using ifconfig command and find your kit's IP address. Then you do not need USB cable from KR260 to laptop, you just need Ethernet cable from router to your Kria kit. This means, using that IP you can log into kit via SSH or use NoMachine software to access its desktop. Alright, now, let's open NoMachine client application on our PC and try to access Kria KR260 kit remotely. And here you can see, our kit has been already detected in NoMachine. Let's open it. Here you have to enter the login credentials. Save the password for future logins. Here, pay attention. It says, cannot detect any display running. which is absolutely true, since we have disabled default GNOME desktop and configured the system for XFCE. Then go ahead and just follow along. You will eventually get to this XFCE desktop screen. This is cool, isn't it? Sometimes it will ask you to upgrade to Ubuntu 24.04 LTS version. Please do not upgrade. 24 version have limited support for KR260 applications. Okay, so in this way, in this video, we have seen how to set up the AMD's Kria KR260 Robotics Starter Kit. We have seen step-by-step guide to install NoMachine Remote Desktop Server on it and access its desktop headlessly. In next video, we will see some cool machine vision projects using this amazing kit. Please stay tuned.